arrangement usually established by the constitution of a country, it usually refers to a political arrangement where you have two levels of government. In federalism, there is a sharing of sovereignty, meaning power is shared between two levels of local government.
When we implement federalism or when we adopt federalism, definitely there will be powers distributed coming from the national or the federal level to the regional or the state level down to the local level.
Federalism kasi is a political arrangement where the sharing of power is constitutionally mandated or stated. Ang sharing of power between the central government and the states. Kasi sa constitution natin walang ganon. So kailangan sa federal state in the Constitution enshrined yung sharing of powers.
The main argument of federalism is to empower the lower levels of government, particularly the regional level, especially in cases when regions would have distinct needs that a national level of government, a very centralized level, a very centralized kind of government may not be able to see. And therefore, through federalism, we will let these voices, if you may, be heard.
There are reasons why some nation-states opt for federalism. Some of the reasons include preservation of differences in identities. Identities can be in terms of ethnicity, culture, religion, and other differences.
From yung mga studies, ang advantage daw ng federalism, you recognize diversity in unity. So ang doon, nagkakaroon ng recognition ng autonomy and parang unique parang states.
For example, the identity of the Bicolanos, I think it's very strong. And under a federal system, you can have the Bicolanos ruled by Bicolanos in a Bicolano way, if there's such a thing. In the same way with Calabarzon, the Tagalogs, or the Cebuanos, or the Mindanaoans, the northern Mindanaoans, etc., etc. So I think that's one thing positive about federalism, that we highlight these regional identities, these differences that is, in our context as a Philippine society, is very apparent.
For practical purposes or efficiency purposes, some of the reasons for choosing federal systems are of course, when territories are too big, it's difficult to govern everything from the center. So it's really practical to you can deliver services theoretically much faster if the authority is at a lower level. Of course, from the perspective of democracy, if you have a federal setup, theoretically the understanding is that people can participate more directly when government is closer to them.
Under federalism, you distribute sovereignty. So if I am a regional government, I have a certain level of sovereignty over my region. And therefore, whatever the regional government decides for its region is something that the national or the federal level cannot just set aside.
In the present situation, we have recognized the parang unique conditions of our administrative regions. Sa literature, sinasabi yan yung asymmetric federalism.
It recognizes that there may be some territories that require more autonomy. It may be because of historical and cultural reasons. It can also be because economically they are more capable compared to other regions. So there are more powers and responsibilities given to them.
Under a federal form of government, there is a substantial area where they can really move and freely decide according to what they think is best for their local citizens.
when you give enough powers to the regional governments or the state governments, they can experiment with, at least in their area, and as long as nobody will complain that it's unconstitutional or it violates the rules of the union, then you can experiment with the party list system. You can have variations in terms of electoral systems, the party system. You can also think about possible taxation schemes. So there's space for more innovations.
Pag titignan mo yung draft constitution kasi ng consultative committee, maganda yung mga rights kasi dinagdagan nila yung rights, di ba, yung mga ganyan. Pero pag titignan mo yung sharing of powers, pareho din naman kasi doon sa existing. So ano yung naiba? Ang naiba lang doon, yung administrative regions natin, ginawa nilang political regions.
Theoretically speaking, no, we will be giving more resources to the local level, to the regional level, because they will be governing according to how they think they should be governed. And I think that is good. No? If they think that their problem is more on infrastructure, that they can dedicate more of their funds on infrastructure, and then later on, if they feel that they have to look for other areas of concern, which is their priority, they can do so. The positive is the negative, in the sense that when you give more funds, it becomes more vulnerable to corruption. And that is not necessarily a problem of federalism. It exists in unitary forms of government. But in the case of the Philippines, I think federalism can exacerbate the situation. And therefore, corruption may be even widespread. What I think is really going to be a challenge there is that you have a lot of funds now, and then you have limited number of people controlling power. And this limited number of people are concentrated in a single or a couple of families within the area. And therefore, the idea that they can really govern, the positive that is supposed to be found in federalism is something maybe hard to realize if that is the situation, if there are a really limited number of families running the government.
Palagi nga sinasabi namin, federalism should happen for the right reasons and not just because it's a campaign promise. Marami naman siyang possibility, marami din namang sinasabi nilang benefits, pero marami din parang cost.
So, it's unfortunate that the campaign for federalism has been hijacked by trivializing the concept, when in fact the administration should be connecting federalism and the whole proposal to change the constitution to how it relates with the daily concerns of